Good morning, everybody. Just gotta close that window because I know it's gonna get noisy and loud out there. Happy Friday. It's about 9 o'clock. Just finishing up my coffee, getting ready to go to the gym. And I just wanted to kind of touch on this subject right now. It's very interesting. You know, I've been talking a lot about the energies and the shifts and, this bifurcation of realities that's happening. And you may have heard me refer to this. And really, when I'm talking about this bifurcation of realities, and I'm not the only one talking about this, you can see a lot. If you just Google bifurcation of realities, I think you'll see a lot of articles being written about it. But really what this is this is a separation of energies. This is a clarification of energies. And this is all really based upon choice. The analogy that I've been using is that it's kind of like when you have vinegar and oil in a, good morning, Robin. Hi, Marie. It's kind of like when you have vinegar and oil in a bottle and you shake them up and they get all kind of, mixed up and sort of, intermingled, but then over time they just naturally separate and they rest on top of one another. They're within the same container, within the same space, and they move simultaneously, but at different levels. That's really what is occurring now, and these shifts that are happening so rapidly in terms of the choices that we make are really creating, it's like, because what we're seeing is this bifurcation is a splitting off of direction and of choices. And there is no wrong choice as long as the choice is made from a higher expression. What I mean by that is if it's a curiosity, if it is you're curious to do it, you're excited to do it, you just want to see what it's like, it feels good to do it, you're confident to do it. You may be a little bit nervous, right? But it's that nervousness of like riding an escalator, riding a roller coaster. I can't imagine that riding an escalator would be too thrilling, but you never know. I guess joy can be found anywhere, really, but it's this, so there still may be some nerves or like, oh my God, I'm so, that sort of energy, like when you're riding a roller coaster, and again, this idea of right or wrong is just a sort of a human judgment, but in terms of a choice that will lead you in a denser direction is one made of fear. At whatever level that fear is active is, really kind of irrelevant. And what I'm seeing is, through my own experience, a couple of days ago, for months, I've been getting, my private clients have slowly been dwindling. And for months, even before I moved back to New York, I was really getting the message, and I really just kept thinking, I started talking about this last year, like I really want to get to the point where I'm not doing so many one-on-one clients, and that my energy and my focus can be spent elsewhere, not because I don't like doing one-on-one clients, but I just could feel myself being nudged in a different direction. And then when I moved back to New York about 3 months ago now, my private clients really, really slowed down. And at first that kind of freaked me out. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I kept trying to force it and make it happen. But it just felt like, again, going down the upwards escalator. And I've used this analogy before, that when we allow ourselves to follow the higher expression, it's like going up the escalator and we're just being carried and it's just sort of moving us up and forward. And then going down the up escalator is literally using so much energy and so much so much external force having to be used just to get a little bit, move a little bit forward. And that's how I felt but a couple months ago, I just realized, I was like, oh, okay, well, in terms of the practical stuff, financially, the soul expansion groups are bringing in enough money that I didn't have to focus so much on one-on-one clients. And then the radio show project opened up, and then the working with this company in LA to help develop my course content for online stuff really started to open up. And so these other opportunities immediately began to open up when I just sort of surrendered and said, okay, rather than fight the fact that my clients aren't really coming to me in a one-on-one capacity necessarily, and I seem to be doing more group work, which is what I had been asking for anyway, rather than fight that, I just moved with it. And then the next step in that evolution really has been letting go of doing one-on-one clients. And so a couple of days ago, and this idea has been rolling around in the back of my head, that at some point I'm going to take a hiatus or, sort of take a break from working individually with one-on-one sessions. And so a couple of days ago, I said, you know what, I think it's time. I just had this moment of clarity that it was time to do that. So I made the decision. I released a quick video on my social media and I turned off my calendar. Immediately, I could feel this really powerful shift. It was like, the image that I was getting is it was like I have, there's this flow of energy moving into my life. And as the sovereign being, the sovereign creator, the master of my own experience, I get to decide where I direct that flow, right? Do I want to sort of, put some here, some there, and some, so I get to decide where I disperse this energy and this focus. And by just shutting down one sort of channel of the flow, which is the one-on-one clients, immediately the other areas that I was focusing on became much more clarified, they came much more into focus. And really now I've started seeing these visions of my career, my practice, my work is going to expand very rapidly now, and it's going to move very, very quickly. And I don't know what that means. People always say to me, oh, it must be so great to have, these abilities. You must, no, it doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, I would have picked my lottery numbers years ago and we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be living on an island somewhere. Probably not really. I'd probably still be doing this in some way. But the point is that when we're making these decisions, you can feel a shift. You can feel this flow redirect itself. And it's not about, you can have as many irons in the fire as you want as long as they feel satisfying, as long as it feels good for you, as long as it feels right for you, as long as it feels interesting and curious and creative and challenging and whatever it is that sort of lights you up. That's really the only factor that matters. And I know that so many of you still struggle with this idea of, but I need the plan and I need to know what I'm doing. And trust me, you don't. You don't. The plan is, how do I feel about the things in my life? The plan is this really what I want to do? And trusting that is all you really need to know. So where we are energetically right now is as these realities bifurcate and as these levels of energy continue to clarify and sort of separate, the shifts are so quick and so fast. I got an email from someone the other day, and she was saying she was a client of mine. She also had helped me out working on my website. And she had said how this job she was in just didn't feel like her, and she was trying to make it work because, of course, it's like the fear of not having money, the fear of not having financial stability, and she was just showing up and it just didn't work. And so she finally said, okay, I can't do this anymore. And she left the job literally the next day. She got an interview for another job. So these things may seem insignificant, but and I was talking with a friend yesterday who's an entrepreneur, and he was getting ready to raise his rates. And I had recently done the same thing. Last year I had raised my rates pretty significantly, and then again at the beginning of the year. So I was, letting him know, like, hey, I get it. It's a scary thing to do. Like, you really do have to challenge all of these notions in yourself about what you deserve and what you're worthy of and what is possible. But we had this conversation, and by the end of the conversation, he was now excited to make this shift and excited to make this change. It went from something he was afraid of to something that he was really poking into and allowing himself to be curious about and say, okay, why am I coming, why is this idea to raise my rates coming into my awareness? What else is possible? How can I learn? These are the questions I've been, offering up for you to ask in your own experience. How can I learn through love? How can I learn through joy? How can I learn through abundance? How can I learn through excitement? How can I learn through expansion? How can I learn through creativity, as opposed to how can I learn through struggle or sacrifice or scarcity or fear or whatever? And by the end of the conversation, he had a whole plan of what he was going to do, how he was going to market it, some new things that he was going to begin to offer as sort of an added value layer to what he already offers, not really to justify his raising his rates, but to also sort of beef up what he's doing. And it was a complete and total shift. It was a total 180 from this very fearful, scared thing of like, I don't know if I can do it and I'm really afraid to do it, to now him being very excited and really looking forward to it. And I know in my heart that he's going to see really, really massive shifts in a very positive way in what he's doing. So we are moving now towards this eclipse in August, and there's a total solar eclipse that's happening in August, and it's one of the first times, I think, and I don't know, if you just Google it, you'll see, but it's going to be, like literally the sun is going to go dark for a brief period across the US and the Northern Hemisphere. And there's something very powerful there, and I'm not sure what it is. I've been sort of tuning in and trying to get some clarity around it, but I haven't really gotten a lot of information, but I'll share what I have when I have it, I promise you. But there's something very profound about that. This energy, and I've been saying this, I said this in the July update or July energy forecast I just released a couple days ago, is that intensity is the word of the day. From now until the end of the year, things are going to be intense, period. And that is not necessarily a scary thing. If you are consciously and actively aware on the path and you are asking the questions of show me another way, show me what else is possible, show me how good it can be, show me how to learn through the higher expression, bring me the opportunities to learn and to grow in this positive, positive direction. If you're asking these questions and you are investigating your experience, you are moving in the correct direction. And, again, the only way really to ever check this is to do a gut check. Only you know what your truth feels like. And so you just trust that this feels right. So feeling into it is always the key, but especially over the next few months, because things are going to be shifting so quickly that in many times the only thing we're going to know is like, I don't know, this just feels like the right thing to do, because things are shifting really, really rapidly right now. And our ability to create from that feeling place and choose for ourselves and really stake that claim is so crucial. So trust your gut, trust your heart, trust that little voice, trust your experience. Trust your experience. Let your life be your teacher. When you're moving in a direction that doesn't feel right, just allow yourself to recognize that and acknowledge that. And this is where the power of curiosity also becomes super important. I talked about this several months ago, about this idea of neutral curiosity. And can you allow yourself to be curious about the what if and just see, what if I tried this? What if I did this? What if I moved in this new direction? What if I took this new step? What if I decided to stop taking clients for a while? What if I decided to, raise my rates? What if I decided to look into, this as a possibility or an opportunity, and just allow yourself to feel into it? You could be curious about something and you can take action on something without having to make it be the big monumental decision that defines you for the rest of your life. I get this. I used to, all the time, and still really to this day, but back in when I was really in this searching mode of like trying to find my purpose and what is it that I'm supposed to do on this planet and in this lifetime, every time I would meet somebody that had an interesting career or something that felt really intriguing to me, I would, oh, he's a photographer. I love the fact that he's a photographer. That's exciting. I'm going to be a photographer now. And I would make and I never really wanted to be a photographer, but I would make these big rash decisions and I would let my mind decide that, okay, this is the thing that we have to do for the rest of our life. This is what we're doing. And I would make all these choices and decisions and move in these directions before I allowed myself to just be curious about it. You have the right to explore your experience and just be curious about what would happen if I went in this direction, right? Ask the questions, join a group, go to a meeting, go get on meetup.com and start to explore these other modalities and other ways of sort of being spiritual in your experience or investigating new ways to engage. Take an art class, take a cooking class, go do a new thing and just see how does it feel. You can allow yourself to be curious and explore your life. And the only thing that ever matters is how you feel about it. And allow yourself to be called in that direction and just trust. Taking that leap of faith for me to take a break from private clients for the time being, it's very interesting the responses that I got from a lot of people, because what it does is anytime we make big shifts in our experience, oftentimes people that are close to us or people who are observing us from the outside, it activates a lot of fear within them, because all of a sudden the story of who you are in their experience changes. And when we are willing to heed the call of our hearts and our intuition and follow that path, oftentimes other people who are not moving in that direction, who are still stuck in fear, who are still resisting and holding themselves back because of the fear story, well, that's weird. My Siri just came on. When other people are seeing us to make a shift and take a leap, it oftentimes activates fear in them, and they're trying to project that on us. And sometimes it's well-meaning, right? Sometimes they think like, no, I'm really worried about what he's going to do or how is he going to make his money or whatever, but it has nothing to do with me. It has this much to do with me. Another person's projection of fear onto me has this much to do with me. And responses are conditioned. If you're resting in fear, then fear is always going to be quite often your first response. If it's like a muscle. If the muscle of fear is just really well developed within you, then that is how you're going to contend with your experience. If joy or curiosity or just sort of confidence and resting in the truth of who you are is what is predominantly active within you, if that is the muscle you have been working on, then that is most likely going to be the first thing that you go to in your experience to respond with. So the way that you deal with fear is you realize that it's not real. Fear is not real. I want you to understand this. The experience, the physical response of fear is real. The sweaty palms, the beating heart, the anxiety, the contraction, the physical response of the idea of fear is real. But physical response is not evidence that there is anything to be afraid of. It's only the body responding to what the mind is saying is real. So when you're living your head through here, you are experiencing a very, very small, very narrow version of what your life is. This is why things like meditation, mindfulness, conscious breathing, journaling, allowing yourself to access stillness and silence in your experience gives you the perspective of the observer. When you are able to observe yourself and go, oh, wow, there's some fear coming up for me right now. Oh, there's some anxiety coming up for me right now. Oh, there's some panic that's active within me. You can observe it. You can allow yourself to have the physical experience of it. You can love the part of you that is afraid, but it doesn't mean that you have to act from fear. Fear is a lie every single time. Fear is an illusion every single time. Fear is a human response. Fear is a learned response. And when you allow yourself the time and the space to learn how to observe your experience, the power of the observer perspective gives you the power of choice. Because when I learn how to create space in my life, right? I have the impulse, I have the response, I see the thing, and if I'm in a fear mode, if fear is the strongest muscle I have, that is most likely going to be my first response. So I have impulse, I have experience, I have input, and then bam, I'm off on the fear train. But when I have learned how to quiet my mind, when I have learned how to create the observer mode in my experience, and this is the observer mode, I am not the one who is afraid. I am the one observing the one who is afraid. You are not the one who is afraid. You are the one who is observing compassionately and lovingly the one who is having the fear experience. And when you allow yourself to find silence, to find stillness, to cultivate that connection in here, then that gives you the power of choice. Because now when the thing happens, you say, oh my God, there's the thing. Oh my God, I feel fear coming up within me. Oh my God, I'm having a fear response. Oh my God, my heart is beating, my palms are sweating, my mouth is dry. Okay, I'm having a fear response, but now I've created space. I observe the fear response. I get into my body. I do some focused conscious breathing. Here's the other thing. Learning how to keep your breath at a level where you can control it. It is physically impossible for your body to have a fear response when your breath is measured and even and deep and slow. So when I have allowed myself to cultivate that observer space, I observe the one who's going into fear. I observe the story of the fear. I allow myself to have the physical experience of fear, and then I bring myself back to that true space. And I say, okay, fear is one option. I've got an opportunity in front of me. I've got a choice to make. Okay, fear, thank you for your option. Thank you for offering up one of a numerous infinite number of ways I could respond to something. Or let me see what else is possible. Be curious about how else you can experience things, how else you can engage things. This is really the power that we have at our disposal over the next couple of months, is again, it doesn't matter what the choice is as long as it feels right. If it feels expansive, if it feels thrilling, if it feels uplifting, if it feels like it's moving you in a direction that you have not gone before, then you are supported, because your purpose, your guides, the universe, angels, God, Jesus, Kuan Yin, it doesn't matter what you call it or who you believe is the thing, higher self, whatever you believe that it is on standby waiting for you to make a choice and make a decision, and you will be supported. I've said, I talked about this in a couple of videos ago. Your purpose shapes itself around you. You are the creator. And as we are moving into this bifurcation of realities, choice more than ever, and how you feel about that choice more than ever, is the decider of what you will experience. When I choose fear, fear becomes my teacher. When I choose fear, I hopped on the fear train, and the fear train only goes through the landscape of fear. When I choose possibility or curiosity or excitement or creativity or love or joy or ease, then that's the train I get on, and that's the landscape that it goes through. This is really, really simple. It's not simple for the head, because the head doesn't understand this. The mind is very powerful, but it is not a fucking visionary. The mind has never had a unique, innovative, original idea in the history of mankind. The mind has only ever regurgitated what it already knows. Intuition, inspiration, innovation always comes from here. And you take that impulse, you take those raw ingredients, and then you turn it into the head and you say, okay, head, what are we going to do? Right? I've got the ingredients, I've got the raw materials, now let's make it into something. That's when you bring in the mind. But this is the one that's driving the ship, that's driving the bus. And for those of you who have been listening to me for a while, or any other spiritual person, this is not new stuff. And this feels like a regurgitation of everything that I've been saying. But it's important for me to reaffirm these things for you, because sometimes it takes hearing something 100 times before you finally go, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there is another way. Maybe I can try something new. So as these realities bifurcate, it is your choice that continues to separate you from that lower density. And by the way, this is not an exclusion-based thing. It's not saying, oh, well, since you did this, you're over there, or you did this, you're over there. It's your choice. It's your free will. Do you want to ride the fear bus or not? It's entirely up to you. But the idea that, we don't, time is the thing that continues to collapse. The experience of linear time continues to collapse and devolve. And as we see it devolving, we see that it's only your choice right now that dictates your experience. And I've been having a lot of this, like really timelines collapsing and dimensions shifting. Like I've been having this weird vertigo thing, which when I get vertigo, I know that this is really just a dimensional shift. I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden things get wonky and I go, okay, I'm just moving in and out of timelines and in and out of density. Things are collapsing and shifting so rapidly right now as these timelines merge and come together. And the only thing that matters is that we are moving forward towards the highest expression that we have in the moment. That is our tether, and that is our link. So that is your calm within the storm. The eye of the storm is your connection to your truth, and the chaos that's going on around you in the secondary reality, because your primary reality is internal. Your secondary reality is the world outside of you. And the secondary reality is always only ever a response or a reflection of what's going on in here. So whatever it is that I'm magnetized to, if I'm feeling good and I'm moving in the direction that feels right for me, then it doesn't matter what's swirling around me, because the only thing that I'm going to magnetize is the thing that feels like what I've got going on in here. So over the next couple of months, and as we lead up to the eclipse in August, and there's also the Lionsgate portal, which is August 8th. It's the 8/8 portal, which is always a big shift. And then we've got in September, we've got the equinox. So it is a succession of boom, boom, boom. All of these opportunities and all of these components lining up. And the next 18 months are going to be really, really interesting in terms of the history of humanity and what we know about ourselves and our history and the truth. A lot of stuff is going to be revealed, and I'm not saying that I have specifics. I just know. I feel it. I feel this massive shift coming. And as long as we are actively, consciously, deliberately focused on the path that we are walking, and it feels true, it feels right, and it feels like integrity for you, that is all that matters. And one of the big things I think we're going to be challenged with is allowing ourselves to hold space for those that we love who are also making their own choice and walking their own path. You cannot walk another's path for them. You cannot do the work for somebody else. If someone is not willing, if someone is not ready, if someone has not made the choice to move in a specific direction, that is their choice. We never know what another soul has chosen for their growth and evolution. So you just got to trust what feels fun, what feels exciting, what feels free for me. And gosh, I really wish that you would also walk the path with me. But hey, I understand that you got to do your thing. It doesn't mean that you can't be sad. It doesn't mean that you can't be, upset. It doesn't mean that you can't be frustrated. But at what cost? At what cost? Because this is where personal choice becomes absolutely crucial in our experience. If you are choosing to set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm, if you are choosing to sacrifice your own truth and your own alignment and say no to what you know is true because of the fear of what it might mean for someone else, you are choosing the fear train. And that's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's the way that it is. And I have said this a million times. Easy, convenient, and comfortable is not always part of the deal. You didn't come here just to go through this experience where you would not be forced to challenge and grow and evolve past what you know and to move outside of that comfort zone. So it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have those conversations and say, God, I really wish that you would wake up. Why can't you see it? What's your problem? What's going on? But at some point, you've got to decide. Serving yourself first is not selfish. That's how you change the world. When you've got 7 billion people who are living from their truth and who are aligned to the purpose and that divine spark within them, that's when shit shifts internally. And when it shifts internally, it shifts everything else. So this is the opportunity that you have in front of you, is to continue to allow these decisions, because you're being called into a higher level of service, and that's relative to wherever you are. So if you just consciously stepped onto the path, you're going to be moving into the beginning stages of creating that life. If you've been walking the path for a while consciously, then you're going to be moving into the next thing. I'm seeing that in my own experience. I'm moving away from private clients because that's not how I best serve now. And when I ask the questions, how can I serve best? What is the next level of service for me? How can I continue to do what I came here to do? The answer was move in this direction. Move towards the newer thing. Move away from the things that no longer allow you to serve in your highest capacity. And that's what I've done. So wherever you are, it's relative, but you are moving up the spiral, you are moving up the ladder. So let these next few months be the opportunity that you seize for yourself to really begin to experiment with how does it feel? And where do I allow my feelings to be on my priority list of how I make my choices? And it doesn't mean that you got to quit your job tomorrow and chuck it all in the bin either. You can be incremental about it. You can say, okay, right now the best choice is I've got 3 weeks of vacation pay or vacation time or sick time that I haven't used. So I'm going to take some days off. I'm going to call out sick just because. Right? Allowing yourself to be curious. Well, I would love to do something else. I've always been curious about being a photographer or a jewelry maker or a baker or a sculptor. So I'm going to go take a photography class or a jewelry class or a sculpture class or whatever, right? So be curious about the things that are exciting and interesting to you and incrementally move in that direction. And I promise you, the minute that you align with that, it will grab onto you and say, oh, now you're serious. Now you're paying attention. Now you're listening. So let me show you. And it will call you forward. This is where the dance of co-creation becomes very real. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And as you move through the weekend and as you move through the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months, just ask the question, what else is possible? How else can I do this? How else can I experience, my life and my world? Show me how to learn through the higher expression. Bring me opportunities to learn through joy and unity and excitement. Allow yourself to be present within the experience of fear without having it be the thing that you decide to live through and live from, right? You can have the experience of fear, acknowledge it, and say, all right, thank you, fear. Appreciate the offer, but that's not what we're going to be doing today. Give it a pat on the head and choose something else. So this is also part of what we're going to be talking about in the soul expansion calls. So I'll put the link in the description for soul expansion for July. It's 5 sessions, which is amazing. We have 5 Sundays in July. So it's 2 hours every Sunday from 12 to 2 Eastern time of intuitive work, question and answer, discussion, and powerful, powerful sound work, sound healing and energy work that I'm doing, which does create very dramatic shifts in the body. And anybody that's been in the soul expansion calls and in the soul expansion groups, what I would love for you is in the comments, share your experience. I want people to understand how powerful these calls are, not just from the energetic perspective, but just from being able to build a community and connect with other people who are going through the same thing. So please do me a favor. If you have been on the soul expansion calls, share your experience in the comments below so those who are watching can see, like, oh, Andrew's not just talking shit, right? He's not just blowing smoke. There really is some profound value to these calls. So I'll put that link below. And until further notice, that's the only way to work with me directly because, like I said, I'm not doing one-on-one sessions until further notice. So that's it. I just wanted to share that with you guys and let you know that right now we are so fully supported in such a massive way to make new headway and to make new inroads and make shifts in our experience. But you got to be the one to make the decision. The universe is not Santa Claus. It does not just deliver things to you because you've been good. Yes, things will come to you, but the first step is, so here's the 4 steps. I'm going to give you this. I had this this morning. Curiosity. Be curious about what else is possible. What is interesting? What feels, exciting to me? Then your intention. What am I calling in? I'm curious about this thing and what do I hope to get out of it? Is it a new possibility? Is it a new option? Is it just to have some fun? So be curious, give some intention to it, then trust your feeling, intuition, curiosity, intention, intuition. Trust how you feel. Does this feel fun? It sounded fun when I read the description in the catalog and then I went to go sign up. Does it still feel fun? Yeah, it actually does. Okay, I'm going to do it. Does it still feel fun? No, not so much anymore. No, okay, then you don't have to do it. You're the one driving the bus. And the last one is action. You got to make a choice. You got to make a decision. What decision am I making? What am I staking a claim to? What am I willing to show up for in my life? Curiosity, intention, intuition, action. There you go. Get out there, recreate your life, take control, drive the bus. I love you guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.